Once again, we welcome you to downtown Joliet. I'm Richard Fredrickson, and we're here at the Juliet Restaurant, Tavern, and great place for lunch and dinner 6 days a week. And it's a fabulous place at Chicago and Cass in downtown Joliet with the upper room, the library as they call it, and they've got a great banquet room up here as well. If you've got a bridal shower or you've got something special, maybe your birthday anniversary, it is the place to be, Juliet's in downtown Joliet. And speaking of Joliet, we have Mr. Joliet here with me. It's taken me 4 months, 2 days, 2 hours, and 11 minutes to get Ardale Evans to come on in here. I'm going to do this. I'm going to reach across here and welcome you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I have more information. Before I begin this interview, we're going to do a few things for you, let you know who this man is, because if you're new to the area, you're going to say, well, you know, why is he interviewing this man? I'm going to tell you why. Here's a couple of things, just a few. Ardale Evans continued, well, he's known for his service to the community. It really is a demonstration of the positive differences that he has made in the Joliet area over the years. He has added, well, he's got marketing experience, relationship building, volunteer, oh my God, all kinds of volunteering, plus he knows how to recruit volunteers. And he happens to, in his day job, work for the Joliet Housing Authority. And I'm going to remember to ask him a question about this, because he's just, I think, newly with the Joliet High School Board of Education, the Joliet Township High School Board of Education, involved with his church, obviously, and the statewide organizations. I tell you what, he's able to bring in on a couple of different projects over 600 volunteers. He always does this. If you call him on the phone or you see him, he's always saying, it's a great day. Find a way to enjoy it. And that really is a sentiment that he has personally. He tells that to seniors, to tell it to you if you meet him on the street. I'm going to do this. Maybe embarrassing you, but that's just too bad. Current boards, and this is one of the reasons why it took me 2 years to get him on the air here. Joliet Township High School Board of Education, as I said, District 204, Joliet Police and Fire Board Commissioners, Joliet Branch NAACP, First Vice President, National Hookup of Black Women Associate, Joliet Region Chamber of Commerce Ambassador, you can see he's an ambassador, Silver Cross Hospital Community Trustee, Martin Luther King Day of Service Coordinator, Community Services Council of Will County, and it goes on, and I don't have time to tell you all the awards he's had, but Rainbow Push Coalition, Excellence in Community Award. Let's see, another one would be Joliet's First Tee. We had those folks on just a couple of months ago. He's on their board. Peter Claver Center, a Service Award winner, and NAACP Youth Services Award winner, and the Spanish Center back in 2003 gave him a leadership award because he missed a meeting and had to become board president. No, I'm kidding. So, number one question for you, Dale, would be, and I do this to almost everyone who shows up here, who mistakenly finds their way up to the second floor. Why? I mean, you could just be the Joliet Housing Authority, and it's a great job. It's a wonderful organization. Why put in all this extra time? Why?
Well, Richard, again, it's been a long time coming, and I'm so glad to have this opportunity to come in with you today. And I guess the question when you ask why, my answer simply would be why not? What I found over my lifetime is that so many people have helped me to get to where I am today. So many people who have volunteered their time, their energy and efforts, and just the names go on and on, from my high school coach, Mac McLaughlin, to Billy Boy Thompson, who was my boxing coach, Ben Marino, who was also one of my boxing coaches, him and Joe Bennett. We talk about those guys who volunteered their time to help and encourage and inspire me. And so that's the same thing that I try to do now. I want to be that same person like Mac McLaughlin was to me, to the young people that I work with now and today.
The mentoring with these gentlemen and other mentors in your life, and if you think of more, go ahead and share those with us, but it's important, isn't it, to have mentorship as you're growing up. And that's probably another program that we should put together about that. But you serve, and you're known for something called Family Self-Sufficiency Specialist.
Right.
That be you. What is that?
Well, you know what? I've been at the Housing Authority now for 12 years, and for the first seven or 8 years, I worked primarily with the after-school program. We had the Teen Reach program. We had 200 youth at 4 different sites throughout Joliet that had after-school programs. We had teachers who came into a system. We also had cultural and performing arts programs that we have from them, as well as athletic programs for those young people. And then after the years went by, we lost the funding for that particular grant, which that program was really near and dear to my heart, and I was moved over into the area of family self-sufficiency. Just like with any change, it was tough for me to make that change, but now that I've made the change, I understand that for those 7 or 8 years that I worked with kids after school for 2 or 3 hours, trying to encourage and inspire them to know that if they went home and that same encouragement and inspiration wasn't there, I was going to be right back at point zero on the next day. So now I have an opportunity to work with the head of households. So now I'm working with the whole family to try to change the way they go about doing things, to let people know about the options and opportunities that are available here in Joliet for people to come out of the situation that they currently are in. And in many cases, Richard, it's poverty. These are families who, family or head of households who probably, they may have completed high school, they may not have. They've never really went on to get the certifications and trainings that are going to be required for them to get a living wage paying job. And so my job is much as that of a coach, just like with Billy Boy Thompson and Ben Marino and Mac McLaughlin. These guys coached me, told me what I needed to do to get to where I wanted to be. And that's what I do now with the families that I work with. We sit down, find out where they are today, where they want to be in 2 to 5 years, and then we put together a plan to make it happen.
The options you mentioned here in Joliet, Will County, I mean, are there available services? Are there available options for these folks who are trying to climb out of poverty? And if there is, what are they?
Absolutely, and that's the key to my program, and the key to why I think why this is really made for me, because of the relationships that I've built over the years. Probably our primary partner would be just around the corner from here, and that's Joliet Junior College. That's generally the first step that we make with our families. If you don't have a GED, Joliet Junior College can offer you that opportunity to get the GED, and then to find an area that's a high wage paying area, something that's a living wage paying job, because we work closely with workforce services to see where the need is, and then direct people into fields that currently have occupations that are available. It wouldn't make a lot of sense to go and take underwater scuba diving, and there's no jobs in there. But here we know where the jobs are. We get our people locked into those careers, get them the trainings and certifications they need to get a living wage paying job so that they can reduce their reliance on government assistance.
Yeah. So how long has that program been in existence?
You know what, it's only been 5 years. This is the end of the first 5 years. We've graduated our first group of 5. It's a 5 to 7 year program. Our first group that graduated.
We did that on Channel 6 too.
It was on Channel 6. We had Mr. Schuster and his lovely wife shot that event for us over at the University of St. Francis, where we graduated our first participants, and we gave out escrow checks of $83,000. See, the beauty of this program is this, Richard. There's never really been a motivation for someone that was on public housing or living on Section 8 to go to work. You see, because when your income increases, then your rent goes up.
Yeah.
With the program that I have, we want your rent to go up because that money goes into an escrow account. That's your money to do with what you will. I'd say 80% of my participants, their goal is to own their own home. And so over this period of time, if you were paying, as an example, $400 a month, go to work, get skills, certifications, get a living wage paying job, and your rent goes to $800 a month, every month, $400, that difference goes into an escrow account. So over the period of 4 or 5 years, you can grow as much as, we've given one check for $20,000 to one of our participants, but totally we've given out $83,000 to 8 participants who've completed the program.
That's great. That's great. And you know, when you have a ceremony like that, I did catch bits and pieces of that on Channel 6, and have it televised, in addition to the program, in addition to the money, the fact that the family members and friends can gather to recognize, appreciate, and honor those graduates, and then have a copy of it. I mean, it's a kind of a heady experience, well deserved.
You know what it really is, and what it does is not only does it impact the individual, but their children. You know, many of the families that I work with, they're single head of household, and they're women. They may have 2 or 3 kids, but what is done now is the hope is that it's changed that family tree, because now education is something that's valued, because we know that there are rewards that come after you do the work. And then their children, we're starting to see they're doing better in their classroom work and the like, and trying to achieve the same goals that their parents are. So now parents are coming home studying, the kids are studying there with them.
Well, you have, you probably said this earlier to me, but how many years with the Housing Authority?
I've been there now 12 years. It was 12 years in February of this year, 2015, yes.
When you mention this 5-year program and the other programs that you've been involved in, from the first year you were there to present time, changes that have taken place, success stories that you can share with us
Right.
that have taken place through either the mentoring that you did earlier or this family, what's it called, a sufficiency?
Self-sufficiency program.
I mean, is it, aside from people graduating, getting their GED, getting some additional escrow money, are there some rock-solid success stories that you can share with people so that people watching, you know, I know you won't believe this because you're Mr. Positive, but we live in a pretty negative world, and people are going to be suspicious of any kind of housing authority, elected officials, what have you. So cheer us up like you normally do with people in a very honest and frank way, and tell me some of the success stories.
Well, I guess the first one that comes to mind would be a lady. The average age of participants that I work with are anywhere from 28 to 35 years old. This participant happened to be just over 50 years old. She just completed her associate's degree when she got involved in our program.
Wow.
She went on to the University of St. Francis while she was in the program to complete her bachelor's degree and her master's degree. She was just accepted into the PhD program this past May. She's currently working now. She got a position after she got her master's degree. She got a position working full-time over at Senior Services. And her income went from $2,000 to about $40,000 a year. She took her escrow money, used it as a down payment, because over that 2 to 5 years, we're working on for repairing your credit, going through home ownership classes. When she got her escrow check, she's now no longer on Section 8, and she's a homeowner. Great story. With my youth that I worked with, now I've got a group that we worked with since they were 8 or 9 years old that are now graduating high school. And we worked with a group that was called Choose Respect. It was an after-school program where we talked about teen violence and the alternatives that you have to teen violence. And of those groups, this year they've graduated and they're going on now to college. To the Joliet Junior College to start out and then finish up in 2 years. So now, you know, you sow and you reap. And so for those first 10 or 12 years, there was a lot of sowing going on. And now, not only am I still sowing, I'm still now seeing the reaping. Those who are benefiting from the things that we've done over the years, the exposure and experiences that they've had that lets them know that the world is larger than a 3 or 4 block area that they live in. And to know that there are other options and opportunities when you continue to build your network of people that you work with and your experiences in the world.
Do you have any connection, association? Do you get out to Liberty Meadows at all?
You know what, we have. In fact, we've
Well, before
done.
before
Okay,
you
I'm
answer
sorry.
that,
Yes.
you better tell the folks what Liberty Meadows
Okay,
is.
Liberty Meadows is the changing of the landscape, if you will, for the housing authority. Public housing, it's been known for years that the concentrated living environment that the old public housing, where you just threw everybody into one area, was not working. And so the housing authority demolished the Pool Gardens development, which is in the area called Forest Park area called the Hill, and created single family homes. You've driven there, you've been there, in fact you were there for the opening. You wouldn't know that these were public housing. This is single family homes, and it's really changing the landscape, and the hope and the plan is to do the same thing at the other 2 developments, Des Plaines and Fairview, to do that same kind of a project with single family homes.
Yeah, great success, and that is a joint project, I think, the states, the feds, the county, the city,
Yes. Yes.
and the
Yeah, it takes a
authority.
team to put together
Yeah.
a project that big.
It's as nice as any subdivision in Joliet. I mean, it really is. And when you mentioned the family self-sufficiency, that was one of the core beliefs that they shared on opening, because there's a community center that folks go for classes and they go
Right.
for budget classes, and
Right.
on and on.
We just recently had a Know Your Rights event that we had there with attorneys that we work with. Again, the work that we do, just like the work on a project like Liberty Meadows, is not done in a vacuum. I think I
Right.
spoke about Joliet Junior College, which again is one of our main partners. We also work with the Workforce Services Division of Will County. Catholic Charities has several services that we access through their early childhood development with parents who have children, child care resource and referral, because we know how important early childhood development is for the development of the young children. And in order to, sometimes just having a place for the child to go is a barrier for a parent who wants to become self-sufficient. So being able to connect families to resources to remove all of the barriers that they may have to achieving their own personal goals.
Not that we live in Pollyanna, USA, but I remember it sometimes years ago when and they're still around, but I think they're decreased, at least in activity. We had a lot of gang activity in both sides of town, but in the gang activity and working with boys and young men, either through the authority or through your church or through your volunteerism, have you been able to reach some of these kids in a positive way?
Yeah, you know what? I think that Jimmy, I have always wanted to help everyone, but the reality is all you can do is make it available to people, let them know where these options and opportunities are, and then just hope and support them when they take advantage of them.
Right.
There are a couple of boxing gyms that are here in Joliet. You've got the Salvation Army, the Boys and Girls Club. Of course, the YMCA has programs they'll never turn you down for if you don't have the ability to pay. I do know this, is that the difference, when I look at my life and look at the lives of some of my friends that I grew up with, the difference was, mother, first of all, I grew up in a single family home, just like the families that I work with. But mother got us engaged and involved in other activities. I was involved in band, I was in wrestling, I was in track, in boxing. We did a little golf. We just got the exposure and experience, as many exposure and experiences as she could give us, with very limited income. But these men that I met in my life, these coaches, these mentors, these teachers, these people who volunteered their time to help teach and groom us, young men at that time, are still available today to the youth right now who are faced with some tough choices. Yeah. They're faced with some tough choices, but they need to know that there are other options and opportunities, and to maybe just give them a try.
And I think Joliet has a lot of options out there, and many of those options are either free or very cost effective to be able to take for mom out there, or grandma in many instances.
Right, grandma in many instances.
To be able to get those kids involved, and summer is here, and this is a great time to get those kids involved. And I just read the article, and it's pretty cheap too. I don't think they've got scholarships, but it's hot, and little kids at Splash Station out there on I don't know what, that's 6, I think.
On Route 6, right, Splash Station, right.
Run by the Park District for years, owned by the city of Joliet, but, there's like 60,000 kids often, and families that go out there every year. It's a great option because not only is summertime, an opportunity for learning and mentoring, but the kids got to have some fun, and some safe fun.
Yes.
And to be able to do that.
And there are organizations, I've talked about the Salvation Army, of course, the Harvey Brooks Foundation, which is the old Eliza Kelly School, has a very active program there. Also, the Warren Sharp Center for the younger children has programs that are available for kids as well. And so, there are options and opportunities out there. And many times, people don't go because they don't know. And that's what I found to be the case. And so what I try to do is to be a bridge between where people are and where they want to be.
Well, that brings up, we're both communicators and have spent time in the world of communications. How do those agencies that you mentioned and others, if we didn't mention yours, you know who you are. How do you communicate to? How do you reach these people? How do you reach these families if you say they don't know?
Right.
How do you reach
them? Again, it has to become our job. See, many times people will be called and asked, and they feel like it's just not their job. They may know, but don't want to take the time to share that information. I found a partner that really has exposure and experience with several families here that I work with directly, and that would be Catholic Charities. Because not only do those parents many times have children that are in the daycare. They've also got a kid that's in junior high, and there may also be a kid that's at one of our high schools, Joliet Township Central or Joliet West. And what their family counseling workers do is they have this list of resources that are out there, and they try to make that available to families. I would also encourage families to spend some time on the website, just doing some searches, youth programs, and they'll all come up and they'll let you know what the cost is. Now, it's important to have programs for youth, but the target audience now that I'm really trying to reach and talk to, Richard, are those who just completed high school, that didn't want to go on to college, still kind of floundering there in the middle, still at home with mom and not working. Those are the ones that we want to let them know about the Connect to Employment program. That's available to help them get a job, learn the soft skills that are going to be necessary for them to become self-sufficient.
Well, years ago, I toured a couple of the IBEW and also this huge plumbers hall out there, and I think it's out on I-80.
Yes.
Maybe pipe
Yeah,
fitters.
huge.
I think pipe
Yeah,
fitters.
that's pipe fitters with the big flag.
There's a huge option for apprenticeships.
Absolutely.
You know, and
Absolutely.
when people say, well, the kid has to go to college, God love you, yes, but, you know, we need tradesmen. Those PhDs need somebody to put their HVAC in and to do their plumbing and to add on to that house and et cetera, et cetera. Those are all good paying jobs.
There, and I've been guilty over the years, and recently over the last 3 to 5 years, realized that everyone is not going to go to college. It's not the role for everyone. Everyone is not going to also in 3 to 5 years have $70,000, $80,000 worth of debt.
Yeah.
So you go into plumbing, you go to work immediately. You start making $50,000 at the end of 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
That colleague of yours that went on to college, now he's graduating with a degree and about $50,000, $60,000 of debt and hoping that they can get a job in their field. So there's more than one way to Chicago.
Yeah.
And there's more than one way to become self-sufficient. It could be through the trades. It could be through certifications that just take a few weeks to get a certification, or it could be that full degree. Just know that there's a path to success. You just need to choose the right one.
We have so much here in Joliet and Will County from that area, from the trades and our universities and our colleges that we have here. We're very, very blessed, very fortunate to have that kind of educational base here in Joliet and Will County. I usually do this in the beginning, but just kind of briefly, and then I'm going to talk about what it's like to be a board member in your old alma mater. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your family.
Okay, well, I'll be glad to. Again, as I was saying, I'm the second oldest of 5. My mom is Genevieve Brown. Again, she was a single mother. She actually went to Joliet Township High School, and in the 1950s, if you got pregnant and had a kid, it wasn't like it is now. We've got a daycare where you take your kids to school. You're unclean, go away, move away. And so mom dropped out of school. She dropped out of school, and again, I'm one of 5. We lived at Fairview. In fact, lived in public housing up on what was called the Hill. And then we moved here on what we call the South End. I went to Eliza Kelly, Washington, graduated Joliet Township Central High School, and went on to Northern Illinois University. Now, mom's story doesn't end there. After my oldest brother graduated high school, got his GED, she went back to get her GED, and now she's an associate minister in Lansing, Michigan. My second brother is a truck driver. In fact, he went through the Workforce Services program, and 3 weeks after he graduated, he had 4 job offers to him, and he'd started that, I think it was about 5 years ago. Got another brother who's a manager at a shoe store in Lansing, in that area. A sister who's a PhD. We've got a sister who's got her PhD in education. Her name is Tammy, Dr. Tammy Alexander. She's in Huntsville, Alabama. And my youngest sister, Rhonda, we call her the Bird. She works with Lockheed. She's a grant worker, and so she's all over the world. And so, I don't tell our story so much to brag and boast, but to let people know it doesn't. Where you start at does not determine where you'll end up at, and we are prime examples of that. And my mom is a hero in our family because of what she's done. She had the wisdom to get us connected to agencies and organizations because she wasn't able to do it. She found other agencies and organizations that were, and now we're just trying to pay it back.
You're doing a great job doing that. What's it like? You are now a board member.
Yes.
Of Joliet Township Central. What year were you in, 1970?
I graduated in 1976, bicentennial year. Yes, sir. That would
Yes,
be the
that was.
bicentennial year. Yes, sir.
So when you, now you're in the suit and the bow tie, you're sitting up there on the board, What's that like, man?
I'll tell you what, it's been 2 years now. In May was the second year that I was elected to that position. And from the outside, you can see the township work and you hear about things that happen there. But until you're actually on the board and you get to look into how massive a job it is to get 6,000 kids from their homes to the school and back home every day. All of the sports that are taking places, all of the extracurricular activities that are available to young people and to our young adults at Joliet Township is amazing. The work we're doing on the high end, I get to see the best of us when I see our kids who are graduating with the highest ACTs available and full ride scholarships. I also have an opportunity to see and hear about those who are down in the bottom that are being expelled, suspended, and expelled, and then all of those in between. I had an opportunity to go to the transportation center and to see those hundreds of buses move out throughout the city to bring kids in. So what it's done really for the first 2 years is really humbled me to know the great responsibility that we have to our kids when we sit down and we make our votes about how the school is going to move forward. It really does. Every vote that I take it very seriously, and it really does let me know that you can have an impact on change over time.
Yeah, we talked about how blessed we are with the college and universities in the area. We're also blessed with great elementary schools and high schools here in Joliet, and they just get better and better and better as the years go by. We touched on this briefly, but it's not all peaches and cream out there. What do you see as the greatest challenges for the youth and for these kids who are graduating from high school, aside from the jobs? I mean, jobs is probably number one, but opportunities out there for youth facing risks. Let's call it what it is: risk of failure.
Right. Well, ultimately, poverty has a grip hold on folks that sometimes don't have a lack of education, exposure, and experience. What has to happen is that people have to have hope. See, because without hope, it's hard to get out of the bed the next day to go and to try to make something happen. What happened with me and what I do with the people that I work with is that no one ever gave up on me. Even when I failed or fell a little short of what was expected of me. See, to change where you are today to become something else takes time. I use the analogy that if I took a seed today and planted it in the ground, watered it, and I came back tomorrow and I'm upset because it hadn't grown anything. Well, that's not realistic. It's the same way with our lives, is that it takes time. You've got to nurture that thought that you have, and then every now and again there are going to be some weeds that'll grow up that you need to pull out so you can become that person that you want to be. And so what we really have to do is men have to really step out, and women have done a great job. My mom's done a phenomenal job, and I know several other single women who's done amazing jobs. But what I found is that, I love big brothers and big sisters. I really do as an organization, but I've got 10 or 12 nieces and nephews that I can have an impact on and spend time with. It doesn't have to be your own child. It can be the neighbor's kid. It could end up, you never know. I always say you can count the number of seeds in an apple, but you can't count the number of apples that come from a seed. See, we never know who we might be able to impact and make a difference with. Now, when I see my mentors and coaches, they're extremely proud of me and what I'm doing because they're saying, Dale, look, you're carrying on the work that we did, and I'm looking to do that with someone else. So I was a kid without hope. I was just angry, mean, mad.
It is so true that any kid needs to have hope, and oftentimes that's missing in the home because that single mom, she's got all this other stuff going on.
She's covered up.
And maybe 4 or 5 kids, and oh my God. And it's a continuation. It's one of the things that just, you have 2, 3 generations of this kind of thing that needs to be broken. And hope is probably, and education is a way to break that. Let's see, I don't have my magic wand here. If I made you king of Joliet, what would the king do that's not happening right now? What would you like to see?
See, now I prepared questions for you,
I
and
know.
you went off the script. You're killing me, man. Work with me on that, okay?
I never do stay on
Yeah,
those
absolutely.
questions.
That's why you are who you are. King of Joliet. You know what I would do is be sure, I would step back and take a look at the landscape, which I've already really pretty much
I know
done,
you have.
and try to create equity. Create equity with with opportunities, exposure, and experiences for families on both sides of the bridge. I know that it's very clear there's a lack of resources on the east and southeast side and northeast side of town. I would focus more energy and effort on getting those resources. I would also create opportunities for young people at an early age, juniors and seniors, so that they learn a work ethic, that they earn their own money legally. See, because everybody wants the same thing. They want to have a nice home, they want to have nice cars, they want to live a good life. It's just a matter of what road do you take to get there. And you just need to know that there are other ways to get to where you want. Again, it won't be a seed that'll grow overnight, but over time, you can have exactly what you work for and dream for, and have faith and do the work that's going to be required for you to get.
You're not king anymore, and I took.
I'm not king. Okay,
I took
thank
it away
you,
from
thank
you.
you, sir. Thank you. That was good for a minute.
You are. I know you're involved with your church. The role of the church today. What do you see the role of the church today?
You know, and not as active in my current church as I have been in the past. Simply, and I'm glad that you asked. I think that the church has to take some responsibility and has to take some stand with regards to several issues that are going on, you know, in the African American community especially. And I think that we've started to see that motion happen with the Stop the Violence movement, with Pastor Glenda Wright and Brother Polesley, that are doing some things in the area to address the issue of violence. But in addition to that, you can address the issue, but in addition, again, I go back to this again, you've got to give individuals an opportunity to generate money. They need to find out what it's going to take to generate money, and so people need to be made aware of these free federal programs for people who qualify for it, to go in and do the work to reap the rewards. So if you're expecting a handout, those days are just about over. You've got to do the work to be rewarded. So there is no success without sacrifice, and so people need to go out there and well, we know that families change. I see it every day, that do the work that's required to become successful.
As R. Dale Evans would say, it's a great day. Find a way to enjoy it. And with that, I thank you.
Thank you, sir. It's been a slice.
Visiting.
In another 2 years.
And no, we'll do it before that. We'll do it before that. I promise it'll be before 2 years. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. I'm Richard Fredrickson.